Welcome to part 2 of creating a shoot 'em up game. So let's get started. Last time we made the bounds, the spaceship, and our cool background effect. This time we're going to try and make some shooting mechanics and enemies. I guess first thing we'll make enemies. And also, before we begin, I want to make a prefabs folder just to stay organized. And we're going to drag our ship into here. And I'll make a little game object called background. And I'll drag our two backgrounds into it. Put that in our prefabs. Our boundaries, throw that in the prefabs. In our main camera even, I'll just throw in the prefabs, just so if something happened, we have all these standard parts. So, that's that. Let's start making our ships. So I'm going to go into my sprites, and for the first ship, I'm going to make it not even be a shooting ship, it's just going to move straight down. So, enemy 3, I guess, we'll call it the fast enemy. Kind of looks like a fast ship. So we're going to rotate it by holding shift on this tool in the top right corner, and we're going to rotate it around. And we can put it in the middle for now, it doesn't really matter. We need to give it a Polygon Collider, and we need to edit the collider to properly match its boundaries. So something like this, I'd say. Gist of it. I'll even pull one in here. Put this in a bit. There you go. Let's save it. And now we just need our fast enemy to have a physics, rigid body 2D, zero gravity, freeze rotation, and we want it to have a linear drag of 1. There you go. So let's make a new script and we're going to call it fast ship. Or we can even make one standard script for all sorts of enemies and just use them differently. Let's do that. We're going to call it enemy. Alright, this will be our enemy class. So in our enemy class, we have a few variables we need to start with. So we have their speed. We have their bullets, I guess, if they can shoot. So make that a boolean. Can shoot. And then if they can shoot, we need float, fire rate, and we need health. Okay. So those will be our enemies components. We also need to get in our rigid body 2D. We're going to call it RB, as always. And we're going to make our awake, which I am so lazy, I'm just going to copy from here just for the sake of the video. So that's our awake, where we just get our rigid body 2D. Cool. So from the start, not really a lot of update in here. We need to make our ship move forward. So RB dot velocity is going to equal a new vector 2. And we can actually put this in our update because it's always going to be going at constant speed now that I think about it. And the vector 2 is going to be our x speed and our y speed. So I guess I'll do 2 of these like so. Y speed and x speed. So our velocity will be a new vector 2, which is made up of our x speed and our y speed. Cool. These should all be public too. Just a little thing I forgot about. And that's so we can edit it from outside of the scripter. There we go. So for now, this will just make an enemy that goes straight forward, and we're good. That's all we really need at the moment. Now we need to make it so our enemy won't collide with these outer bounds that we already made last video. In order to do that, we're going to make it on a layer called enemy. And we need to go to edit. First we need to make sure our enemy's on the layer. Now we can go to edit, project settings, physics 2D. And on this little chart here, we're going to find enemy and player bounds, and where they intersect, we just uncheck that. So now the enemy can actually go through player bounds. So for our fast enemy, which by the way, our speed needs to be, our Y speed needs to be a negative number because it has to go down. So for our enemy, fast enemy at least, we're going to pull that into our prefabs. So it's standard, and we're going to set our Y speed to 4, and we're going to make it so it can't shoot, and none of the other variables do anything at the moment. So now our enemy comes down and just kind of goes through, and that's our fast enemy. I'll even make him a 5, and we can apply that setting. So right now he has no health, he just kind of shoots through pretty fast. We could dodge him, or we could shoot him once we have guns, and that's the fast enemy. Cool. We're going to need a spawner too, which will come soon. So, fast enemy can move, but he can't damage our player. That's when our spaceship's damage will come in. So if the enemy hits a player, which we're going to need to check with a tag, then we do damage to them. Alright, now it's time for some hit detection. So we're going to do an on collision enter. Sorry about that. I had to talk to somebody real quick. It's on collision enter 2D. Got a little disoriented. Anyways, on collision enter 2D, collision 2D, call. Which, and this will check for our collision. And we're going to see if we're colliding into an enemy or a player. Maybe we should put this on the player. I don't know. We'll put it on the enemy. Why not? So if it collides into a player, so if our col.gameObject.tag is equal to player, then we're going to do two things. One, we're going to kill ourselves. We're going to explode. So we're going to put in a void die, which is we'll kill ourselves. Maybe spawn in a particle effect. And we're also going to damage the player, so we need to call the player's damage function, which doesn't exist at the moment. And the player will also have health. So int health equals 3 for now. Void, this will have to be a public void, by the way. Public void damage. Which will take our health and subtract it. And then after taking our health and subtracting it, I forgot the void. After taking our health and subtracting it, it's going to check to see if health is equal to 0. And if it is, then we just destroy ourselves because we are no longer alive. And that's the way that will work. Okay, so we have our enemy. And our enemy will now not only die, which will come last, but it will take our collider, so the thing we collide into, the game object of it, we'll then get the component from it, which is spaceship. And we'll take that instance of the component, and it's going to call damage, which will damage the player. So pretty much this collides with this, it will get this collider, then that will get the game object, which is what the col.gameObject does. So now it has the whole game object, and now it will get the component spaceship, which is this, and then it will call damage, which will damage it. That's the way that works. So if we touch it, it dies, and the spaceship dies. If we put 3 of these guys in a row and we touch all 3 of them, we're going to die as well. There's no noises or anything to say that we died, but that's what happens. So when we're playing the game and these get spawned in, maybe there would be a formation like this of the spaceships coming in and you have to dodge them or shoot them, which is why we need to have health on these guys and a damage function on them. So we're going to have a void damage on them as well, which will take their health and subtract it, and if their health is equal to 0, then they will call their die function. And that's all damage really has to do. Easy enough. So now we need to make it so they can actually take that damage and die. So we're going to have to do that by using bullets, which I made in our sprites. So if we drag in a bullet, we have this little white thing, which is kind of stupid, but I made it white so I can change the colors of it, whatever I want it to be in the game. If I want the enemy to shoot a certain color laser, I can like set that. And these bullets, I kind of want to make some sorting layers actually, put them on the right layer. So we're going to do that real quick. We'll have our player layer, and our projectile layer. And the bullet's a projectile, so we're going to put that on our projectile layer. And our player is a player, so we're going to put it on the player layer. And I would also classify our enemy ships as players as well. We're going to apply them on the player layer. Apply everything we changed. And now this little bullet right here we're going to make into a prefab. And I guess we'll script it next time, but we'll just ready it up for the scripting. So all we need is a Physics 2D box collider. And we just need to change the size to match our bullet. Maybe even a little bit wider if you want, but I'm going to make it precise for the bullet. At least make it a little bit longer. In case it's moving too fast, it might go through the enemy in certain circumstances. Let's apply that change, and we'll make the bullet class next time. So thanks for watching. I guess I'll go through an end result of what we have right now. We have ships that fall down, and we have a player with a bullet, which should be on the trigger layer. There we go. And there we have it. Alright, thanks for watching. Tune in on the next video for some more shoot 'em up tutorials.